Welcome to The Explainer. We're embarking on a truly profound journey today. We're diving deep into ancient Buddhist metaphysics, straight from the monumental treatise on the great perfection of wisdom. We're going to explore the very fabric of reality, from the microscopic laws of cause and effect, all the way up to some absolutely mind-bending cosmic abilities. And finally, we'll look at how to actually apply these massive concepts to our everyday lives. This text completely shifts how you look at the universe, so let's get right into it.
So, think about this. If everything comes from a cause, what caused the first cause? It's a classic philosophical dilemma, right? If everything requires a starting point, well then that starting point itself needs a starting point, and boom, you're caught in an infinite loop. The text we're analyzing today challenges our everyday, basic perception of reality and this whole idea of linear cause and effect. It really pushes us to look closer at what we actually think is real.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for the explainer. First, the four empty conditions. Second, seeking the true nature. Third, inconceivable bodhisattva powers. And fourth, supreme formless giving.
Starting off with Section 1, the four empty conditions, or deconstructing reality. Before we can really grasp the ultimate nature of the universe, we have to deconstruct the rules we think govern our world. Ancient philosophy categorizes creation into what are known as the four conditions. First up, we have causes, basically the initial seed of something. Second is the sequential condition, which is an uninterrupted chain, kind of like one thought seamlessly leading into the next. Third is the object condition, the external stuff our minds grasp onto. And finally, the decisive condition, which is the overall environment that actually allows something to happen. But here is the massive twist. Perfect wisdom reveals that when you look closely at these four conditions, they're ultimately empty. They don't possess an independent, fixed reality at all.
And this brings us to one of the absolutely most beautiful quotes in the text. Like a small child who sees the moon in the water, generating grasping love, desiring to take it but unable to get it, their heart harboring sorrow. I mean, that perfectly captures the essence of perfect wisdom. You see, perfect wisdom doesn't destroy reality. When you understand emptiness, it's not like the water vanishes or the reflection is suddenly destroyed. It merely clears away our rigid, illusionary attachments to it. It teaches us to see the moon in the water, appreciate it, but stop crying when we try to grab it and our hands just come up wet and empty.
Moving right along to Section 2, seeking the true nature. Moving to macroscopic truth.
Let's move to and see how this builds. If all those basic conditions of cause and effect are just like a moon in the water, what actually remains when we clear away those illusions? Well, the text maps out our evolving understanding of this true nature in 3 steps, known as suchness, which basically means reality as it is. Step 1 is lower suchness. That's acknowledging the physical properties of things, like knowing fire is hot or water is wet. Step 2 is middle suchness, realizing that all physical things are subject to impermanence and decay. That fire, it'll eventually burn out. Then step 3 is upper suchness, the realization of ultimate emptiness. This is where you see the phenomena are neither truly existing nor truly non-existing. They're completely pure and totally beyond our conceptual labels.
When you reach that upper level, you experience what is called dharmata, the ultimate nature of reality. And the text uses incredibly comforting metaphors to describe this. It says that all phenomena returning to dharmata is like water naturally flowing down to the sea to become one taste. Or even more touchingly, it's like a lost, wandering calf finally finding its mother and coming to rest. It takes this abstract, massive concept of ultimate emptiness and makes it feel incredibly natural, inevitable, and peaceful. It's really just a return to home.
But how different spiritual practitioners handle this ultimate reality is just fascinating. If we compare the Arhat and the Bodhisattva, both actually reach this ultimate reality limit. But the Arhat stops there. They achieve their liberation and their journey ends. The Bodhisattva, however, reaches that exact same limit, but due to profound, overwhelming compassion, they refuse to just disappear into ultimate peace. Instead, they turn back to the illusionary world to help guide others out of it.
Which brings us to Section 3, Inconceivable Bodhisattva Powers, the Cosmic Climax.
Because the Bodhisattva returns with the mind perfectly aligned with ultimate reality, things get wild. The text describes abilities that absolutely break the mind. We're talking about a highly realized Bodhisattva being able to extinguish a universe-ending fire with a single breath. They can stop world-shattering cosmic winds with just one finger. They can lift Mount Sumeru, the massive cosmic mountain at the center of the world, with a single strand of hair and toss it across countless galaxies without disturbing a single living being on it.
They can even expand their body to sit in a lotus posture that entirely fills the infinite void of space. And listen, these aren't just magic tricks. They are dramatic illustrations of the sheer cosmic scale of a fully realized mind.
Now, you might be wondering, how is that even conceptually possible? Well, it all comes down to the one mind. The text explains that physical elements, earth, water, fire, wind, are limited by physical properties like weight and resistance. But the mind? The mind has no physical constraints whatsoever. When it's perfectly free of all defilements, emotional knots, and illusions, its power over the physical universe becomes literally infinite. The one mind, fully liberated, is the ultimate force in the cosmos.
And that leads us to Section 4, Supreme Formless Giving. Let's look at the practical human application.
As incredibly cool as cosmic powers are, the text doesn't just leave us floating out in space. It brings us right back down to our daily lives and how we can practice this supreme, unattached wisdom right now. And this brilliantly illustrates the difference, contrasting ordinary charity with prajnaparamita, or perfect wisdom charity. In ordinary charity, the ego is highly involved. You know the feeling. You're attached to yourself as the good giver, you might judge the receiver, and you place a super high value on the gift itself. But perfect wisdom charity requires a mind where the giver, the receiver, and the gift are all seen as ultimately empty and unobtainable. True power lies in acting purely, without any ego attachment to the outcome.
To generate infinite merit, and to truly practice like a bodhisattva, all three of these conceptual elements must be perfectly dissolved into emptiness. You empty your own ego as the giver, you empty your judgments and attachments to the receiver, and you empty the conceptual reality of the gift itself. It becomes this pure, frictionless act of compassion, flowing directly from that ultimate nature we talked about earlier.
So the crucial point is this: the mind is the inner master. The field of merit is just an outer circumstance. The text shares a mind-blowing anecdote to prove this. It says that the Buddha giving a simple piece of food to a dog generated infinitely more merit than his chief disciple, Sariputra, giving a massive lavish offering to the Buddha himself. Crazy, right? But why? Because the field of merit, meaning who you are actually giving to, is just an external detail. The Buddha's mind was vastly greater, completely unattached, completely empty of ego. The pure, vast mind of the giver overpowers absolutely any external circumstance.
So let me leave you with this. If a single act of giving, no matter how small, when done with a completely unattached, liberated mind, holds the literal cosmic power to feed the universe, what will you offer today? How can you drop the ego in your very next interaction? Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey through the mind and ultimate reality in this explainer. Until next time, keep exploring and keep learning.